talk a little bit about that, the PowerPoint slides we got. That'd be great. Because,
okay. Right. We're going to say that all of this has been put together very quickly this morning. Yeah. So we may have a few out of sequence, but let's see how we go. So this is the first one we had to call up. So if you're happy with that, tell us what we got here.
Well, I always do things a little odd and a little different. It's called like Uncommon Law. That's the website. Broadmind.org. Sorry about that's the name of my website.
Yeah.
And everybody in my family spelt their name with the letter K instead of letter C's. So there was just a twist, and I got fortunate that I came to the UK, and it fits in perfect with your guys' UK. I got lucky. But I usually do like a word of the day, and this was like the word of the day, and I explained to folks capitalization.
Are you saying this is one of the slides that you've used in the talks in UK?
Or? Oh, yeah. Talks everywhere. I wrote a dictionary. So like I said, I realized the dictionary got out of hand. It's like 3,477 words, and I have a WAV file for every single word so you folks know how to pronounce it. But I realized, you know what, there's only basically maybe 20 to 50 words that you ever really need to know to evoke your own court. It isn't very complicated. You don't have to go to law school for this. It's very simple. And like I said, when I do it, like I did when I make claims to get property restored, the restoration of property for parents getting their children back, it's always 2-3 sentences tops.
Right.
There's no reason to and I make it in 22 font, so it looks like I'm putting something into the court. And it's like, that's it? That's it. And it's funny, the state attorney New Mexico did that one time in court, and he said, let me read what their claim is. Court, the lady's name is to require the immediate restoration of property, see Exhibit A, because they have no right to know what my child's name is. I just give them a picture, I said, attach a picture, Exhibit A. Unless the child is restored, I'm going to charge the unlawful holder of this child $1 for every second the child is held in, unlawful naked possession, one naked possession. So the judge, so he read it out to the court, and luckily, the state prosecutor said, that's her whole defense. That's her whole answer to the court. And the judge just said to her, so you don't want to work with us, you don't do AA classes, you don't want to do anger management, you still know you have criminal charges of fighting the police, you don't want to do what's in the best interest of your child. She says, I require the immediate restoration of property. And that's all she said. And he said to the prosecutor, that's on my show, it's a 40-minute clip that the husband calls up and tells what happened. And the judge looks over and says, restore her property. And the other side, the CPS and everybody said, well, she hasn't done anything. He says, you know the law, restore her property. And then they said the child ran over and was done. And the child's name was Serenity, and Serenity was restored. And it's that simple. A lady in Canada was on my show last week, and there was a Downing Thomas, guest 11 and guest 31 was downing me. So I said, oh, really? Oh, wait a second, I see the folks from Canada were listening. So I put them on, I said, and then the kids came on. And said, oh, thank you, Uncle Karl, for helping me get home. Yeah, we really love being home. Thanks for helping my mommy. Right. So it works. Okay,
2 things here, Karl. One is we'll bring that slide back up so that you can describe what people are seeing, because the print's very small. Just take us through why you wanted to get this information on screen.
Well, the big thing is, like I said, if you go further onto the slides, I'm going to show you the hierarchy of how they work. And what you look at is everybody knows who watches these kind of shows like a hierarchy, like a pyramid, like a capstone. So like say a creator, nobody knows what the creator truly is. I can't tell you what your creator is. You can't tell me what I believe the creator is. So or supreme being or God. You have your own beliefs, I have my own beliefs. No people on planet Earth. So that's why it's always basically left empty, and you got like the I, the one. So when folks don't understand this capitalization rule is extremely important. When you write, like when I used to see how I write is I, a man, I always start with lowercase I, because I don't decapitate myself. And it goes back to old Roman customs and traditions, that if you diminish the capacity of the man by how you stylize the name. So when they're reading the paper, they see I, a man, in lowercase. They're like, okay, I, the capstone, I, the one, okay, I, a man, by nature, I am a man. It's like, okay. And then the characteristics of the man, I am known as Karl Lentz. It's like, okay. And that's basically as far as you want to go with these people. You just basically want to say, I, a man, or you can give your name. Sometimes it's best just to stop as a man. That way they know that they're interacting with a man, and the man is the one who created the governments. Man creates the courts. Man created the judges. No judge ever created a man.
Right.
So that's on the next one you're going to see.
Okay. What I'd just like to, really ask you at this point is, of course, this, if we're talking about children being taken away, we're talking about an incredibly emotive subject to parents.
Right.
And I've been into court, I don't know, about 10 times with into the family court, and I've seen everything. I've seen the lies, I've seen the perjury, all the rest of it. How do you... What we're not offering in this interview is a magic wand, because people have got to know their stuff. But the question is, how do you deal when a judge is actually the judge themselves is corrupt? Well, sorry, that Michael pick up your pen.
Sorry about that.
It's all right.
The big thing is like, let me tell a lady from Canada story. She was thrown out of court. The first, she had 4 children, and they had gun and drug charges on them. So obviously that's pretty powerful stuff to be charged with, to have children in the house and have that kind of stuff. And so what happened was she tried to put in all this free man stuff, and they got thrown out of the courtroom. About 4 or 5 months later, I just happened to start up my radio show, and I said, the first mom and dad who calls up needs their kids back, I'll get them back for them. So he just happened to ring. So he started going on and on about free man stuff. I said, wow, do you have a wife, a woman here in the house? And I said, yes. And then I said, do you understand any of the stuff he's saying? She's not really. I said, this is all your fault. Yes, because you listen to this guy with this crazy stuff. She's like, yes, good, I could work with you. So I said, by the time we get on the next show, I said, we'll have the results for her. So this was a massive gamble for me. So it worked out great, as I really worked hard with this lady, and I made a very simple four-sentence thing. I require the restoration of property. So as soon as she turned that one little piece of paper into the clerk of the court, who then turned it to the court clerk, which is different. Court clerk ran and got the head judge. The head judge all of a sudden invited these people into his chambers. Said, why did you use this word property? Lincoln freed the slaves. What it had to do with Canadians, I don't know. Shouldn't we call them children? That's right. That way they have jurisdiction and control over children, but they have no jurisdiction and control over property.
Right. Now, this I brought up in a little bit of chat last night with Barley, because we've had one of the family division judges saying, Colville, I think his name is, saying where children are concerned, you have no rights.
That's right. He's correct. Where your property is concerned, you have rights, because property is inherent within you. Property, like I said, that's why I say to property all the time. That which is proper and exclusive to all others within a society. So you're saying, that child is my property. He's exclusive to me, bared by the fruits of my labor. He's exclusive for me to use and enjoy. Property, not child. Property. See, these are Sibboleth words. Right. They're listening.
So the judge, that American judge, was
Canadian.
New
Canadian. Yeah,
okay.
This was Queen's Bench in Canada. So see, this works in Canada as well.
He was trying to trick the family back into
under his jurisdiction and control. Right. Absolutely. She got home and she says, "Oh, we had a wonderful visit with the judge. Oh my God, all this worked out great. Da 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 da. We had never been treated so great in court. Da 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 da. Yeah, we got trial coming up on Friday. Da da da. Monday." And he said, all the judge asks us to do is change the word property to child. I said, get back up there and change it back. Lady, do exactly what I tell you to do. Do not. I said, I told you long ago, if you don't do exactly what I tell you to do, you'll never see your children again. I guarantee it. She's like, yeah, I know. They already got them set up for foster care. And there was 4 children scattered all over New Brunswick, all over the province. So they didn't even have visits with their kids in 4 or 5 months. So it was really sick what they did to these people. And but like I said, go back. And she was upset. She was like, I got to go all the way back. It costs so much money and diesel. I said, lady, do it, but don't ever call me again. And she was like, fine. So she went up there and she changed it back to property. So when the trial hit on Monday, there were 20 affidavits in the case file. They had to go over 20 witnesses' statements in court. It's incredible. Each kid had a guardian ad litem. Each child had a doctor. And they were saying how horrible the kids were, da-da-da-da-da. She, after all those 20 witnesses, the husband went. And even he admits on the show he tried his crazy free man stuff for an hour and a half, and he's like, it went nowhere. She got on the witness stand, and I said to her, can you point out the woman who took your property? I said, can you do this? And she said, yes. I said, good. I said, so then when you see the woman, so when you get to stand, say, that woman robbed me of my property. I demand of you the immediate restoration of property. And the judge said to her, well, you haven't even got a copy of the case file. Don't get the case file. Their facts, their evidence means nothing. Whatever somebody else wants to believe, let them believe whatever they want to believe. I'm never going to challenge your facts. I'm never going to challenge your evidence. That's what you believe. You can't convince me there isn't a God or is a God. That's your beliefs. I don't care what your facts are. I don't care what your evidence is. Don't worry about mine. You present your case to the jury, and they'll determine the merits of your case. And then I'll get a chance, and I'll determine the merits of my case. So stop worrying about what their case file says. You present your case, and that's all that matters. You try on your suit before the jury, and they'll determine whether it has merit. Don't worry what the other side's doing. So what happened was the lady said, she robbed me of a property, I demand of you immediate restoration of property. And the judge was like, well, he didn't get the case file, haven't got a lawyer, da-da-da-da-da, all this other stuff. Don't even do the best interest of the child's sake. She said, why won't you work with us? And she said, why would I want to work with a robber? Why do I care why they rob me? I require the restoration of property. And the judge went, the court will be in recess. And she said they sat in a lobby. So then what was funny is at 5 o'clock they were told to go home. This is all on the show. The lady said it right on the show.
If I just, very quickly, if I just bring this one up, it'll be one of these shows, will it?
No, it's one of the earlier shows. This man just has he doesn't have the April and May shows yet. These are snippets, these are legal advice. This is the shows that I give people.
Right, just so that we're helping people to come into your information, that these are just a tiny selection of are they video or audio? They're video clips on their YouTube clips.
What it is, somebody took part of my radio shows apart, and I try to say to people, this is not legal advice. This is law. This is common law. Like, this stuff won't hold up in any code world, but it will hold up in a common law land, which we are a part of, fortunately. That's why I'm not I'll never go over to France, because this won't work over there. But while we still have access to the common law and Queen's Bench, use it. And no matter how many people I talked to, they said, we don't know Queen's Bench. I said, a simple Judge Judy show. Judge, 2 man, 1 in, 1 out. Boom, that's it.
Right.
This isn't rocket science.
Okay, Karl, give me an answer to this question of what happens if... I do not believe all the judges in Britain are bad. I do not believe they're all corrupt. I think a lot of them have turned a blind eye to corrupt practices because they wanted to protect their income or their pensions. But I do know that there are some judges which are clearly utterly corrupt.
Okay.
How do we deal with them?
Okay, let me just finish what happened with Jesse at Jacinth.
Right.
What happened was the judge said recess until tomorrow morning. When Jesse walked in, and her husband walked into the Queen's Bench the next day, into their court up there in New Brunswick, the Crown barrister walked across the lobby and said, who wrote this? Just the 2 sentences, who wrote this? And she said, well, I did. He said, no, are you a lawyer? No. Who wrote this then? She said, I did. And he said, no, right, do you want to come work for us? And she's like, no, why? She said, because we're scared poopless. I can't use the word that the Crown used, but that's what he said. We are poopless. Whoever wrote this knows what he's doing. Who did this? They said to her, when do you want your property restored? And she said, immediately. He said, well, they're all over the province. Can you give us until Friday? And she said, okay, that'll be fine. So they understand when you make a 2-sentence claim, it's over. It's done. There's nothing they can do. No matter how corrupt the system is, no matter what, these people are still duty-bound and honor-bound. When you say certain shibboleth words, certain key words, they know there's nothing. They all know all their society members are watching.
Right. I'm just going to push you on this one because I've struggled with some of this myself. We're saying we've got people that when the courts are running properly, the system they're using is by nature deceitful in that we don't understand what it's about.
So why aren't you in Queen's Bench?
Right. But we can also say that the people running that deceitful system have a code of honour amongst themselves.
Of course.
And would I then be right in saying that if they were to start making if a judge was to start making their own decision, which is counter to their own code of conduct, their system would start to break down?
No. The big thing is that you folks, you have to understand that the man in the black robe does not create the orders. The claimant creates the order. So when you make a claim, when you are going into their administrative court, or if I went into your court, I'd be coming into your case. You define me, and you tell me what rules I have to abide by. Now, if I don't want to abide by those rules, or if I say that's unfair and unjust, I'm going to move my claim. So poor Bali, when his family was doing this for 1.5 years, 2 years before they met me, they were not allowed to present evidence, facts, nothing, da-da-da. They thought they had a lovely case, and they were saying, oh, the judges are corrupt and evil, da-da-da. I said, Bali, you have to move your case. If they have their case, You have no rights. You think they're going to let you win in their case? No, they're going to make it inherent that there's no way in the world that you could possibly win in their case. You have to move your own case. So when you move a case in Queen's Bench, they can't follow. And fortunately, here in a common law land, Queen's Bench rules supreme. So they have to basically leave their case at the door and come after you in Queen's Bench as man on man. Not public servant against man, man on man. Not person on person, because a person is a man who has a duty and obligation to a society. And he's saying, I'm not a person, I am a man. I have the right to access Queen's Bench. You have to pursue me now, chase me, prosecute me now into the Queen's Bench. And once we get there, you have to utter your proof, your claim in open court. You have to press the record. And they know they can't do that.
Right.
And that's what the magistrate said. It's done. It's that simple. It's a trump card. You guys are done. And the common law land is so simple, it's scary.